Is that
Oh, you can hear it on me?
Yeah.
Oh, I got Michael K show on. I'll lower it.
Welcome to Football and the Kitchen Sink. Get ready for in-depth conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro football, plus some insight about the rest of the world. All this, along with some fun and humor along the way. Pull up a chair, grab a coffee or a beer, and join us. It's Football and the Kitchen Sink. Here are your hosts, Coach Schuman and Coach DePascali.
Well, I should have Coach DePascali pretty shortly. But I'm here, and I see a thing of This Ways to the Beach. Hey, bud. What's going on? How you doing? Thank you, buddy. So that kiss must be because I'm letting them play games.
Yeah.
When you let's see, what was your video game system? Because you're definitely maybe the next generation, right? What is it?
Nintendo 64 guy.
You're a Nintendo 64 guy.
That was my go-to.
He likes to play Nintendo Switch. Do you ever play that?
Yeah, my nephew has it. We go Mario Kart all the time.
Yeah, Mario Kart's great.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. He thinks it's good though when he comes in like 7th, and I'm like, that's not good. And he's like, well, at least I finished. And I'm like, oh, hell no, we're not breeding this. Absolutely not. Like, no way, dude. Like, you can't. That's not okay. Like, it's
that's
not
funny.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Mario Party's his game. That's right. Mario Party's fun.
I let my nephew, like, okay, you choose who I race with. You choose that, you know what I mean? And then it's like, he's like, you're kind of good at this, you know? And I'm like, yeah, like, this is what I grew up with. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, hello. You know, you can't. I can't let my sister. My sister can't play him because she's more competitive than I am, and she'll literally like win and you know like rub it in his face. I'm like, he's 5. She's like, I don't care.
we like Mario Kart, crush him, but Mario Party, I got beat the last time we go play at yesterday. I got beat at Mario Party. I'm like, what the heck? I finished. What did I finish last time? 2nd? You beat me. You won Mario Party last time?
Yeah.
He won Mario Party. I couldn't believe it. Like, first last time we played, he was last. And I was like 2nd. Now he one shot. Now he's better.
That's what happens.
Well, the computer teams were last. We beat the computer teams. That's because we won the challenges. You know, the challenges we were. And then.
Right. Like sometimes he wants to go battle and he's like, you know, oh, you popped my balloon. And I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, Friday, it's a Friday, so don't expect huge attendance today, Coach D. So,
especially this weekend, everybody's getting ready and going. Although they do say that this year is different. This Super Bowl is different based off of our circumstances. You know, gatherings are obviously down.
Frowned upon, is that the word?
Betting is actually down.
Is it down? Really?
They said betting is down mainly because people aren't traveling to Vegas.
But
and people don't have money, so it's kind of like, you know, people are out of work, they're kind of staying wherever. I don't know if that's true because I'll tell you, I don't know how many people asked me if I wanted a Super Bowl box, but you know, like.
I did a box with somebody.
I did. I just did it. They had it on. DraftKings.
I don't know why my screen said Big Man Elite. That's not what. It's a camp, Troy. He thinks I'm making fun of myself right now.
Oh, Troy.
Call myself fat or something, you know?
Oh,
nothing better than that when you get to make fun of dad. Dear old dad. Stick him with a little fun. Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, I mean, that's the Super Bowl betting thing. That's surprising to me. I would have thought that
I was shocked, but then when they started to explain why, I kind of understood why. You know, because of the situations that most people are in and whatever, but you know, you still think it's like, damn, like, you know, this is the most bet on thing all year round, no matter what, you know?
Well, I think the viewership's going to be affected by not a lot of Super Bowl parties.
And the other thing I heard was that a lot of big time advertisers said no. Like,
why is that?
Because I guess
less money.
Yeah, because they're not just
or not confident.
Right. Like I'm talking like big time, like Budweiser, who's the other one? Like Miller Lite, I think was another one that I heard that they're just not running ads. And if you look at how much it costs to run an ad during the Super Bowl in general, like does it really balance out, or is it just become more of a custom?
Yeah, I think. Well, remember like 2000 when all the internet companies started, like Monster.com spent $1 million, and then like they had those crazy ads.
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy's still big.
Right. But I remember that was like their big.
That was their big spend.
That was like a big thing for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember like those companies just throwing money around back during the heyday of it. But I wonder what will who's the halftime show?
I don't even know. That was another thing that they were talking about was, I know who it is. The Weekend. The Weekend's the halftime show. Okay.
I can't feel my face when I'm with you.
No, thank you.
I think that's a song. What's another song of his? Oh, he has one right now that I know Troy knows it. I can't think of the name. It's like a clubby kind of song. You would know.
I don't even pay attention to that thing, to be honest with you. And ever since Janet Jackson ended it for me, there's no more of a higher highlight than that. So it's over.
That was great.
It's the most incredible thing ever.
I was like, oh.
I was like, wait, was that supposed to happen?
Yeah, was that set up?
That was not supposed to happen.
No. So yeah. We got our predictions, so we're basically done with Super Bowl. We're ready. Are you having any kind of are you doing anything for Super Bowl?
No, I'll just probably watch it with the old man and whatnot, normal stuff, nothing crazy. I'm not big on it because like I actually like to watch the game, and I think it's more like when you go to a party, everybody's kind of like, just doing their thing or whatever, and it's, you know what I mean? Like I actually like to watch the game.
I haven't been to a Super Bowl party in I don't know how long.
I just look, is it nice to get it's just, most people aren't there to watch the game, or if they are, they have no idea of like what they're actually looking at. And that just frustrates the hell out of me when I'm trying to watch a game and like, you're starting to see things where
like, why did you do that? Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, great play. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, they're doing what? You don't even know what you're talking about. So I just kind of, I like
just run it. Just run the ball.
I just like kind of do my own thing, It's frustrating, man. I need to be in like my own, little like whatever. I mean, and some people like only watch that game all year, like I've been watching football, you watch every football game that's on, that's possible. These people are just like, no, you got to watch this, watch that. Like, no, what are you doing? So I don't know. I guess I'm different in that manner.
Well, have you seen the college licensing thing that
I saw it, and I saw your post. Yeah, I'm jacked up about it.
I think it's great.
I've been in favor of that from day one. The fact that EA Sports is coming out again with another college football game, I think is fun and will only aid in the fact of this going forward. In terms of guys being able to license themselves and use their names, I think that's awesome.
Right. So now
it's a long time coming.
So EA Sports initially is going to get into it. I think with that, they won't. That first year they'll have college football back.
If they want to get it out,
they won't have it yet.
They won't have. They should just roll it out without it, and then
yes, that's what they're doing.
If they try and do that and incorporate it, it's not going to be the best it could be. I would rather them wait, get it right, and then go about it.
Yeah, I mean they're doing it without like the licenses, and like I guess they're kind of. So let's. The only thing about this new thing, you can't like share documents. That would be another thing that would be cool, wouldn't it? Like
Yeah.
to be able to share, like, you know how we do our huddle.
Something
Like
go back and forth.
we could draw back and forth, you know, it'd be quicker, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to like
absolutely.
go, like I could pull huddle up, but you don't see it as well.
Right.
This video, like that would be really cool, wouldn't it? Like
Definitely.
it would almost make it like a really good interactive thing to do, like
like
clinic.
then you could meet with your, like when you were meeting, then if you could do these with your guys and be like, all right, you draw it or you put it on it, you know?
Yeah. Or you could literally like do a private, I guess a private YouTube video.
Right.
And then just have them get on there and watch it. You don't even have to like have them log in the Zoom. You know what I'm saying? Just send them the link and say, hey, listen, I'm going to be here. It's going to be private. Only us are going to be on here. You could ask questions in the chat. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we could go. That would be, by the way, that's a great
platform.
That's a great business idea right there. That's like the kind of like that. The ability to do it, things like that private without having to, you know what I'm saying? So like this is streamed to the world, but we could stream this where it's just a private link where they could chat and ask all kinds of questions.
Right. And they can kind of be in their own world. But
not have the ability to interact on the same level, which will limit the nonsense that you have to deal with when you do classroom stuff,
right,
where
all that stuff that we've dealt with in the past.
Yeah. I think that will be that's a kind of like an in-between thing that would be awesome, you know, because even like coach when we go on, like if we go on some of the live clinics, either you're just watching a video, right, where you have no interaction really,
right,
or you're going in on the Zoom where there's just too much, like, you know, there's a million people on there. You know what I'm saying? It's
absolutely
like that in between would be awesome, where you get
you get a little bit of both worlds.
Yeah, and way more secure too, I would say. You know what I mean? So you could go through your presentation without having to
worry about nonsense.
Yeah, that would be cool. I might have to write that down as a business idea right there.
Put it in the binder.
I wonder if there's someone who could do it. By the way, before I get into the licensing thing, I'm reading a good book right now. I know you like books. You might want to put it in. I don't know if the D&D book club is still.
I have. I literally, because, you know, working the other night, going 24 hours, like between sports radio and whatnot, like I finished 2 books.
Oh, because you're waiting half the time.
Right, because I used, you know, Audible, which has a great selection, you know, for
you're listening, yeah,
for a cheap price per month, you know what I mean? So I mean, I crushed through like 3 different books, working. I mean, it was awesome, you know what I mean? So that stuff, you know, because, you know, every now and then, you know, it's nice to listen to it rather than, you know, read it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love flipping pages and stuff, but at the same time, when you can do two, you know, I can sit there and just drive and listen to a book. I mean, phenomenal. So I'm like already way ahead. Like I've already finished 2 books I finished 2 books in January and already halfway through my February. So I'm already way ahead of schedule. So, you know, as far as planned reading for the year.
I'm about 3/4 of the way done with the Matthew McConaughey book.
Isn't it good?
Oh, you read it?
Green Light.
Yeah. Did you read it?
No, I started it.
It's great.
He's the man.
He's a character, dude.
He's so interesting, dude.
He really is interesting.
He is on point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like his perspective on things. I like the way he approaches things. But I think the best part is it wasn't always like that. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't develop that until he kind of figured things out.
Where are you right at the beginning of the book?
Yeah, like I literally like.
Wait till when you get into it, like from the time he gets I don't know about, you know, that's a great question. Did Mahomes go to NUC? Is he a Texas kid?
Yeah. I believe,
I'd have to look that up.
Because I believe his dad pitched for Rangers.
I'm not 100% sure. I want to say no, but I have to look at because I don't think that he was a huge recruit at high school. So
no, he wasn't. I think he was only like a 3-star.
Because we do get a lot of the like the underdog guys. So I have to look. That's a good question, Pete. I actually talked to Pete. Was up this morning. He's back, I guess, going back to work now. Like I talked to him when I first got up. I was up this morning at 3:45. I fell asleep. Yes, I've been up since 3:45.
That's a fun hour, though.
What's that?
It's a fun hour. Like, that's an interesting time. Hey, that's what time Mark Wahlberg gets up.
Well, I can see how you could do it. Although I actually had to take a nap right before the show because I basically told everybody I think I'm ready to go to bed for the night.
If that's your routine, you know what I mean? Like, he goes to bed very early, you know what I mean? So
I went to bed at 9 last night.
But if you start balancing that, like, I enjoy going to bed around 9:30. Like,
well, that's why I fell asleep, because I fell asleep.
Right, which is nice if you can have a schedule like that with a child where you go to bed. You know what I mean?
Go to bed.
Right. But I know a lot of parents that, once their child goes to bed, that's when they turn on and get to work because now they don't have any distractions, right? Whereas I think it's better to work the other way. Whereas if you went to bed with your child and then got up before them.
Yeah. So I've been experimenting with both. Like I might have told you a couple times that I went to bed. I was up real early, like 4 something. And then I've done the after, like, I actually agree with you on it. Haven't been testing both lately because I can't figure out which. It's a little bit of a seesaw for me, but which is better because and kind of what I realized is I get tired anyway around 9:30.
Right, you might as well just go to bed. Why push through it?
And then you work till noon, and then
you're also getting better
midnight
sleep when you're tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I got up today. I got on a bike. I was done biking. I don't know.
And there's something about working out in the morning that just adds a bit of juice to it.
I think it helps you get slimmer.
I think if you start off more of like, I've already accomplished something for today.
That's it. That's the Jordan Peterson approach to everything. You know what Jordan Peterson is?
Motivational guy?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. People think he's controversial. I don't know what's controversial about him, but
why? Because he probably speaks the truth.
That could be. Yeah. Truth is controversial now, so you got to be very, very careful about the truth.
Tiptoe your way around it.
Are you talking about the truth?
What do you mean, truth?
Please. I mean, you can make.
Why would we talk about the truth?
Or you could just make believe you're in one building when you were really in another. You know what I mean? And boom. What does it matter? Reality's not that important.
What is reality?
What is reality? Anyway?
Oh, your reality is different than my reality. So
all of our realities are different. Did you see? I didn't post it on Facebook. I think I might have posted it on Instagram. Perception.
Yeah, I saw that. The dude was in like 7th place.
He was 4th place, and he was so happy. I saw some friend of mine that went to high school posted on his Facebook. It's all about perspective. And I said, you know what? That's so true. Like, you could be the 2nd or 3rd place with, like, who knows what that was? But let's say that was like the, I don't know, New Jersey Youth State Championships, right? And you finished 4th. Well, that's a pretty darn good accomplishment, right? This guy's really – but the 2nd and 3rd guys are standing there really mad because they lost, obviously. They weren't the champion.
Right. 4th place could be somebody's 1st place.
Right. It was,
or like you don't know the background story about how much
he got there,
go through to get to 4th.
I'll tell you another really interesting thing. So, a girl I went to high school with, her husband was a wrestler for Cliffside Park. I mean, back in I think 2000. Actually, might be a little older than you, but he probably was in high school when you were. He was state champion, okay?
What's the last name?
Ruiz.
From where?
Cliffside Park. He's a famous wrestler. Anyway, this is her husband, and she posted on Facebook a story about him, I guess that was written, chronicling his story. I guess he was so it's a really interesting story in perseverance. This is why I'm bringing it up. So he was this wrestler, I think, in youth that was a great wrestler, showed a ton of promise. Cliffside Park was excited to have him. The long and the short is, for 3 years, he got, knocked out, like, first round of regionals, earlier than expected, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. Like they kept expecting these things would win 20 wins every year, but like then exit, right? Comes his senior year, he goes and he loses in the finals of the district. So he finishes second in the districts, okay? Goes to the regionals, struggles, but finishes third. So he gets his invite. In order to get there, he had to beat a guy that I think he had lost to earlier in the year or something. But he gets the invite into the States. He's in the what do they call it? It's the one before. I don't know if they still have this now, but they used to have like the super regionals. You remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know if they do have that anymore. That was kind of like the outer brackets of the state. You know what I'm saying? They did that before Atlantic City, so they could kind of just have the top 8 guys go.
Right.
So he had to out bracket it. Upset a guy who had beat him in the first round. Worked his way into the final 8. Okay. Upset a guy who had beaten him in the regionals 20-5.
Ooh. The
guy had beaten him 20-5. Upset him. And then worked his way, got to the state finals against the guy. It ends up being the guy who whooped him in districts. Okay. Meets him again. And I want to say the guy might have earlier in the year beat him. I don't remember what the score was, but he ends up going and beating him to win the state championship in an amazing turnaround. Beat all the guys that beat him throughout earlier in the season.
Huge.
And ends up the state champion and accomplishing what everyone had always envisioned. Actually, maybe more than even what people had envisioned for him. But for 3 3/4 years, basically was thought of as a really good talent who had never quite got there. And no one could understand why.
Never get over that hump.
Yeah, like was a great wrestler. 20, I must have had 100 wins in his career. You know what I mean?
Right.
20 wins every year from time as a freshman, but could never. And then I thought it was such a great story. I said, this is just a phenomenal story. Like I want to share that story with kids that we coach, like about perseverance.
Right, about fighting through and just continuing the process.
Continuing, like think about, and wrestling is obviously it's just you. How many times you probably someone like him who was expected to be so good was really good, but just never became the elite guy, right, and was expected to be there. And then how many times he probably had to hear like, oh, you just can't get there. You just never got there. You know what I'm saying? Like
you were right there, bro, but just can't get there.
And he kept fighting, and then it clicked in the very, very last meet of his career. Finally came all together, and he
absolutely amazing,
dominated. Yep. Those stories are so inspirational. I had that happen with a track athlete of mine, and
could just never get there, and then all of a sudden, bam!
He won the state. So yeah, we had Anthony Pomo, who and Anthony Pomo would always beat him all the time, and there were other guys that were beating him.
Right.
And then the state group finals in the triple jump come, and we had a chance to win the meet, and we needed some things to happen. And the first day, Anthony won, I think, the long jump, and was like, and won the 100. No, he was second in the 100. No, he won the 100. Yeah, won the 100, won the long jump the first day, which was like a shocker, and in both because there were other guys seated ahead of him. And so he was jacked out of his mind coming in the second day, and he goes and tells this guy, his name is Brian Wiseman. He says, Brian, you go first, and I want you to go first of everybody before everyone, and then I'll go after you. And so even though Anthony was a little guy, like he was like Bill, young, right, little guy, but like forward, you know what I mean? Like didn't fear anybody, just like you are.
Dude, absolutely.
Like didn't fear anyone. Didn't matter.
Did not matter.
You could be a monster. So he comes up to this. We're all lined up to go to the first round. The guys are all lined up, and I'm the jumps coach. And he goes up to these other guys, who are supposed to be studs, and he goes, yeah, back up. You're like, we're going to go first. So he lined up. He had this kid, Brian Wiseman, go first. Then Anthony went, and then a younger guy that qualified that we had, Alan Patterson, was a really good athlete. I don't know what ended up happening to him because I was gone after that, but a couple years later. But so Brian, he was all jacked up, and Brian Weissman was just, we got him all jacked up. Comes running down. It's kind of a rainy day. Boom, boom, boom. The mark, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's the best jump he's ever had. He went 43.10.5 or something like that. First jump of the meet. First jump.
Set the tone.
It set the tone. Anthony had some good jumps, but Brian Wise was 43.10.5. Set the tone, put pressure on everybody from the get-go. They had to have a good jump, and it was raining, so it was hard to get your triple jumps, 3 jumps, so it's harder to get your footing.
Yeah, that shit's no joke.
It's hard to get your footing. Right. So, and no one ever got there. He won from his first jump, and he was so amped up. It was just like, and he never won a meet ever. That was like, he always would place. He was very good, right? But he could never win.
On him to be Mr. Steady Eddie, but this time he just dialed it up, and it was like, bang.
Dialed it up. It was amazing. And Anthony, this was great about Anthony. He was like biggest cheerleader. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah. He was probably more excited than the other dude.
Yeah. Like he was so excited. So it was a pretty cool deal. Anyway, that story from that story and the perseverance, like people think like what happened to Ruiz and stuff, like people just think in their head that kind of stuff can't happen. And wrestling is so clear because it's such a physical, like you beat someone, you physically dominate them. It's hard to mentally get over the fact that you got physically dominated.
There's no where you can look to be like, oh, this is why it happened. Or, you know what I mean? Like that's what it happened because you just got beat. And how do you overcome that mentally? You know what I'm saying?
I got to, maybe in the show links, I'll share that story because I'm going to write that down. So that's my winded way of getting back to our fun, our lighter-hearted stuff, which as much as we like the lighter-hearted stuff, we do like the inspirational stuff. That's called being a sucker of being a coach, man. We love that stuff. We live for it.
That stuff's just what it is, man. That's why stories like that and things like that are like continue why you keep going.
Oh man, it is like as a coach, and you want your athletes to start to think like, it may not get to where you want it to be 99 out of 100 times.
But one time.
But man, if that one time hits at the right time, it's just magical, right?
It's phenomenal.
You live for that. That's where the underdog, like that's this, and then you know what? Just think about, like, I think his son's a wrestler. Like, when you relate that to your kids as they get older,
right?
Like you actually could be the example of what it took, so your kids don't have to look anywhere else other than you, like persevering. That's a cool thing.
This is what it is.
Don't tell me you can't do it,
Because I know you can.
I know you can. Like, I'm not saying you got to be me, but I know you can do it. Like,
if I can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. So, all right, EA Sports, and you can see this, right? I mean, obviously on the screen, it's not probably as good as we'd like it, but
but we can see it.
Diving back into college football, my favorite game, by the way. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely, hands down, no, 100%.
For the first time since 2013, the publisher announced. I still have the older ones, but
I played it for PlayStation 2.
You have it for PlayStation 2?
No, when PlayStation 2 was my system in, I want to say, late high school, early college years, and that's what I would like. I literally can remember playing, full seasons in one night. All my friends would be out doing their thing, and I was the, weirdo that would be home playing a season of NCAA football because I just didn't want to go out, You know what I used to love about NCAA football, like when there were plays that first of all, two things. One, I used to have kids that I coached. They would put our playbook
into NCAA football.
Well, for a while, that's how colleges and pros were doing things, right? They were uploading it to Madden. They were uploading it to college football and saying, here, have this for the summer. This is how you learn the playbook. And I could totally understand that.
It's really good. Like, so I had this must have been when I was at Pal Park, because we had Xbox maybe was already out. And I remember the guy saying, hey, coach, they had a bunch of questions about a few of the plays, because they all uploaded it like into this. It had to be Pal Park. They uploaded it into EA Sports, and they would play with it with their like favorite teams. Make the play.
And that's how they would learn it.
And that's how they would learn it. That's how they would remember some of the stuff. And I was like, that's brilliant. I wouldn't have had the patience to put all those plays in.
But think about that. That's like for most times, like, you know, I can remember you're looking to cheat on a test, right? And you make a little cheat sheet. And then when it comes to the test, you go to take out the cheat sheet and you know all the answers because making the cheat sheet was studying.
Right.
So the process of uploading.
That's a good point.
The process of uploading those plays into the game and into all that, you're actually studying rather than just sitting there staring at the screen and saying, oh, this guy does this. No, because now you're ultimately using it. You know what I mean? So now you're playing with it, running this route. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, and then you start to get a flow of it. And then when you start playing games, you're saying, all right, I need a first down. Well, what routes can we run? Okay. Oh, we're running this play because these are the routes that gets me there. You know what I mean? So you're doing all the work for yourself.
It's so cool.
And it's also, you know, look, I'm a big write things down type of person. That's just how I am, right? Like, I feel like when I physically write something, that's how I learn. That's how I take it in, the retention, all that kind of stuff. Like, a lot of the kids nowadays, they don't do that, man. Like, they got to put it in their phone. They got to play it. They got to do something, you know? Whereas, you know, for me, taking notes, it's exciting, and that's kind of like how I do things. These guys, it's got to be in their phone. It's got to be interactive. It's got to be this. That's just how they learn. So if you can figure out something like that to get it across to the guys, and now it clicks for them, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. I think it's such a cool
it's not how I want, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's whatever works for them.
Yeah, well, exactly. My favorite thing about it
as a coach.
My favorite thing about that game too is they had so many of the different offenses from option and different. You actually could get see, unlike Madden, where it's kind of like most of the pro plays are fairly similar in Madden.
Right. In NCAA, you're running the system to that school. So if you're Air Force, you're running that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what I thought was always very cool.
That's what made it so cool. Like, I always started my season with a triple option team. It was my favorite. Just run the heck out of the triple option. And then I'd go after I run a season with that, then I would go and run like one of the teams that run like a wild passing offense, you know, like a Hawaii back in the day. And I would just run their run and shoot concepts constantly, just go right up the field and throw 9,000 passes.
I mainly would start a season with Hawaii or Oregon just based off their uniforms.
Right. Oregon's uniforms are awesome. And then you ever put yourself as the
running back? Always.
You put yourself as the right. Yeah, I would do the quarterback, even though I was
just like being a single digit in the backfield.
Oh, what a great! Just I can't wait for that game to come back.
Yeah, I will definitely be, you know, partaking in that 100% when that comes back.
EA says the new game will include the rights to more than 100 institutions featuring logos, stadiums, uniforms, game-based traditions, and more fans know to come and love. But obviously without, and it says here, we'll be doing it without the names and likeness. But starting next year, this all gets voted in. You'll have the names and likeness. A lot of these players will be able to get paid from, which is great.
Amazing.
NCAA and many major conferences decided not to renew their exclusive contracts. EA Sports back in 2013 amid legal disputes over whether players could share in the profits or use the various NCAA trademarks. That's the Ed O'Bannon.
Yeah, that was brutal, but
it took a long time, but Ed O'Bannon was right.
And he was persistent.
He was persistent, and it's taken a long time, but he was right. And the other guy that was pretty instrumental in it was the really like the founder of AAU basketball, Sonny Vaccaro.
Big time.
He was big. I was like, that these players, need to have it.
Right. It's not fair.
It's just not. Yeah. At the same time, EA was facing lawsuit of unauthorized player names, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I mean, the long and the short of it is it's coming back. And then soon, I think, hopefully coming back with licensing, which will be really cool. Really,
I'm
really
very
cool.
interested to see how they go about that and do those things.
The licensing, yeah. Well,
and I want to see.
Yeah,
I'm a little nervous, but I am curious to see as to how some of the individual players go about it.
Well, that's.
And I hope to God they're smart about it, because all it's going to take is one person to screw up, which is going to happen.
Well, I would say coaches are probably pessimistic on it. A lot of coaches probably are, because they're worried about how their team could end up getting in trouble with some of this stuff.
This is going to, in all honesty, if I'm a NCAA coach, I am now, if this is something that's coming about, I hire somebody full time to handle this aspect of my program.
Yeah, and I
don't know what you call them. I don't know what you.
Oh, I don't know
I don't know the background or the parameters that you want to have. I would think it has something to do with obviously business, marketing, financing. You know what I mean?
The NFL has. Every NFL team has licensing.
But I would also think this is pseudo like a financial advisor type of role.
No, it's more like a hybrid agent / NFL licensing person.
It's like almost like a publicist within a kind of just with a
no, it's a licensing guy.
Marketing.
He's a licensing. So the NFL has, each team has people that are their job is responsible for licensing and distribution and making sure
screws up.
They're adhering to the contracts, that if there's an issue, the NFL has a group that does that specifically called Players Inc. And then the college team, this is probably part of their concern. They're going to have a person that does that, who also is now potentially negotiating deals.
That's what I'm saying.
And the question then becomes on that, let's say Derek DePascal thinks that he should get, I don't know, $100K on using his likeness for like gear, right? And the licensing agent has to handle the team and all the players, and this one person, quote unquote, is worth more. The next issue down the road is, how do you handle when the player says, hey man, you're not getting me as much as I should get, I'm getting the same as everybody else.
When they go and fire their agent, but this is college, you can't do that.
Right. So can you hire an outside licensing person?
Right.
Will be the next question.
I'm going to hire my Uncle Jim to handle that.
Yeah. And that.
This is what I'm nervous. This is where
that's where the fun really begins.
This is when I get nervous, because this is when I see the word street agent just become a whole nother level, and also like.
Well, I think here's what I think. One of the things the NCAA is going to have to do. The NCAA is going to have, first of all, what you said is 100% right. They're going to have some person that's handling that role
within each program.
The second thing is you may have to have NCAA approved. I don't know if you use agents, but
that was my next thing though. Like
marketing personnel people, right? Like, so Derek wants to.
You can make more money on this yourself, saying, look, if you want to be this person for these guys, you have to run through what we deem a NCAA program that we will now sign off and say, okay, you're good to go. You can work.
Yeah, they'll be tested into it. They'll have they're going to have to submit similar to an agent. It's going to be similar to an agent.
But I also think that you're going to as the NCAA, you're going to have to put parameters on what can be endorsed.
They will. Yes. Well, that's another question. That's right.
You're going to have some of these guys. And, the first thing that pops in my head is, especially with the more so, I don't know if you're thinking the same way I am, but with the more so legalization of marijuana.
Yeah, I know exactly where you go with this.
You know what I mean? Like, how many of these guys are going to now start to put their stamp on, like, hey, this dispensary is endorsed by, yo, whatever. Like, and I'm not just, I can just,
yeah, that's real issues.
And I'm not stereotyping. I'm not putting it in whatever. I'm just saying there's more likelihood of this stuff going to happen. And now you're the NCAA. Well, you're a program, right? Like, you got a guy under Nick Saban's umbrella, and he's, the number one endorser for the top dispensary in Alabama. Like,
all right. So here's the deal. So the NFL, see, this is how the NFL handles it. And this is what makes it tricky. So the NFL has said that you cannot be endorsed by a dispensary. Okay. That's part of the deal of being a players union. But the issue now is they have a union, right? So they agree to this. They say, okay, we agree to this. We don't agree to that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, so a player can go and still kind of get endorsed by one. Okay. But the problem is if your individual team deems that negative,
and that's what's going to have to happen.
Your contract. So they're going to have to do something where if you do these things, you can lose your scholarship.
Or what's going to happen is,
I would love that game. That would be a fun game.
Here's my question, right? Here's my question, right? Now, with these parameters being set, are certain guys going to not go to certain schools because they won't allow certain endorsements?
No, I think the NCAA is going to have an overall. These are
like a general type of thing. Like Alabama's not going to have one, Florida's not going to be able to have another. Because think about you're talking,
and there's issues with that because there are state laws. So where the NFL,
University of Colorado,
they state law wise,
in California,
yeah, there's a lot to it. The NFL,
you know what I mean? And then you're talking
because they have to make it part of your signing. Yeah.
What about Notre Dame in comparison to Miami?
Well, I think the states where marijuana is legal is it.
But I'm just saying in general. Even let's say it's not even marijuana. Let's say it's not even something
beer.
Let's say it's alcohol.
I see. I don't think NFL players can endorse alcohol either.
I don't think you should be. You're not 21.
So
how about
you'll have to have an overarching thing.
What about the academy schools, dude?
Well,
Army, Navy, Air Force. Think about what are they going to have on their players as far as, look, dude, you can't endorse that.
You probably can't endorse anything if you're
an
Army. But you could play. So if you're, let's say, the Army, and you have your 5 or 6 better players, you could pay them directly
to endorse
Army.
Army. Be like, look,
that's a lot more money than anything else.
Join the military. They're the next Uncle Sam.
They're the next, and they could get paid to be the Uncle Sam. So if you're like the quarterback of Army,
and you're traveling around,
you get a better prospect because you're saying, "Hey, listen,
I'm the University of Army's quarterback. I will travel around to every fort and camp that you have in every state and speak to the troops. Let's go."
And you're getting $50,000
to do it.
You might get a better prospect too to come to play for Army or Navy or Air Force.
And you know what they'll start saying is, look, rather than you'll be in the service for 4 years after this, but here's your gig. You're traveling around speaking about how you were an Army football player and how being in the Army is such a great thing. And we'll pay you.
The guy who played for me, he's now back at West Point, and that's what he does. He's
love that place.
He has an internal role with so he was out. Obviously, he was leading his own company, whatever. I'm not. I should be more astute at this, but I'm not. And but he wanted to get back to West Point. Loved West Point, and he got hired.
So now he's like the happiest dude in the world.
Oh, and obviously that's part of his service too. So
right, so he's getting paid on top of getting paid.
Right, so he's now, but he's yeah. So I think he's doing diversity and inclusion, and he's got a great gig, and he's going to go and he's meeting with general people to come in that they want to come to West Point. Not. I'm sure they have him talk to players, but I'm sure the overall thing is in general getting people to West Point, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so that licensing thing is and so. The article, I didn't pull it up, but the Senate is voting on doing the licensing for the video games, which is great, which would be great for the players. You can't beat that. Thank you, Troy. So yeah, I thought that was the one time, and I'll give you a second topic along the line of college football since we're on it. Tennessee definitely breaking some eggs. So. We talked about
that is.
What do you think about that? So
I just think the utter craziness.
So the player that they
chaos.
They pulled the scholarship on, he ended up going to Memphis.
Right. You knew he would find somewhere.
Yeah, it's obviously if he's good
enough to go to Tennessee, I'm sure there's a lot of other schools. It's just a matter of the timing. Kind of like, your boys up at UConn are infamous for doing with Etzel, right? He's done that a couple times where he's put some scholarships at like last minute, and kind of left the person kind of just sitting there like, what the hell?
I'm not a fan of that.
I don't.
I understand there are reasons.
I understand it, but the timing of it just sucks.
I feel like you could do it, give the people more time.
There's got to be some way. Like if you know the second you get in that door that's not said, like let it be known. Like that should be like one of the top 5 things on the checklist. Like, all right, recruits that are coming in, are we going to continue to offer them? If not, we need to let them know right now.
Right. That's the first thing.
As a courtesy.
Right. So they have more time.
Let's pull up this big board and let's go. And I understand.
We knew when they hired Tennessee that was going to be a problem because the timing of the hiring was odd.
That's why you see a lot of these guys rush to fill positions as soon as it's over because of the way the recruiting calendar works.
Yeah, and then now there's a couple of things that have come out that, and we were definitely in the this is a good hire camp. Unlike which we were surprised when we pulled up some of the stuff that some people were not in that same camp. What's his name again? Head coach
Heupel.
That's Josh Heupel. So there was an article that came out. I'm trying to find it now. That I guess he did this at UCF.
It was just obviously not on the scale that it is when it's at Tennessee.
Right.
And it's being done to someone who's not a top recruit, so it's not a big deal. Like,
oh, here it is. Another high school coach. This is 24/7.
Right. And now everybody's coming out of the woodwork and going to blast Heupel like he's been doing this.
Yeah. I mean,
we know this goes on. It does. It's part of it.
It's not one that, but
it's not something that's
interesting because I guess it's a story more because Tennessee's had so many problems. So obviously they're going to have sanctions. Josh Heupel era has gotten off to a shaky start. And Best Buy should thank us for allowing this ad. Already inheriting a program under investigation. Blah, 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 blah. Earlier this week, a high school coach accused Heupel of pulling a scholarship from a player who had been committed to Tennessee for months the day before National Signing Day. One day later, another high school coach levied the same accusation against Heupel from when he was the head coach at Central Florida. Blake Reed, the running back coach at recruiting coordinator at New Caney High School in Texas, took to Twitter to detail what took place with one of his players.
Of course he took to Twitter because why wouldn't he? Because now he wants to let everybody be known. I'll let it all be known.
I agree with that. But
if I'm Josh Heupel, you know what happens? I never recruit one of your players ever again.
Well, so that's the funny part about this. Okay, so I'm going to read this quote. I'm going to read this quote to you, and I want to get your take on this. Okay, just listen to this quote. Same head coach did this did this to one of our guys one of our guys days before early signing period when he was at UCF and left the scrambling. Absolutely disgusting. Kid had been committed to them for months. I hope this gets around and high school starts shutting doors to coaches like this. Retweeted. So I highly disagree with that.
What is shutting door? So you're telling me that if this comes to recruit one of my players, I'm not going to let him recruit it because he did this to somebody in the past? Like, so now you're going to spite somebody else? Is that what you're saying? Hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris. Yeah, I think that's so. Your take on this is exactly mine. That's short-sighted, first of all, because you lock out a school because you don't like the coach. Or because what he's done, then maybe there is a kid that wants to go to school, even though you have a problem with it. It's not about you.
It's not about you. It's not about you, dude.
That's the thing. So I could say, hey, I don't like. We have a conversation. Like he comes in to recruit my players and say, hey, I don't like what you guys have done in the past. Treat our players with respect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to make my players aware of what's happened,
or your previous policies.
But I don't tell my kids what to do or where to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't tell. That's a big thing to me. Like you can advise your kids as places that you like, but ultimately you got to leave the decision to them. It's their life. It's their family.
Look, I'm going to tell you everything that I think, everything across the board. It's up to you to make that decision. I'm just going to lay everything out for you.
Yeah, Chris is right. You got it exactly.
Yep.
So you can't tell kids not to choose a place. You can say what your experience has been with them,
right?
And
if a kid says, "What's your opinion?"
And I always say, I said, listen, when a parent and this is something for you maybe one day, okay? I always say is when parents call me up and they start talking about this school and that school, this school. I always say this. Are you asking my opinion on the situation or are you looking for guidance?
Right.
So if you're asking my opinion, you make the decision. I'm not telling you what to decide. I'll tell you my opinion.
Right.
But you have to take it for what it's worth. It's my opinion. If you're asking for my guidance, I'll tell you things that I know that are great about this school, things that I know, I'll give you guidance, but I can't put you in a situation. And I'm gonna you're welcome, Mr. Dewberry. I'm glad we were able to get that to you and get you that information you needed. Glad to have you.
South Carolina.
And Chris is right. You got to know the process is a huge difference. So guiding is a big part. And I've always felt that like the more ownership the family takes and the player takes, Troy, please, good, the bad, and the ugly on it, the more ownership they take,
that's how it works.
The better off they will feel no matter what their decision is.
Because at least they're going to be more so in the process.
They're more engaged in the process.
They're engaged. They're in it. They're involved. Their fingers are literally on it. You know what I'm saying? When you kind of sit back and allow, then you're kind of like, well, I really didn't make that decision. It was this, and this is why it went array, or, this kind of like when you're involved, get involved. The more so you are. If you're going to jump in 2 feet.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's a huge part.
Oh, Troy.
I can't get him under control. It's an animal. It's like an animal, man. It's
Friday, man. And he's jacked up. It's Friday. He's excited for the Super Bowl.
Troy, you excited for the Super Bowl? Can you do me and Derek a little favor, since we always have you on the show, and we're always so nice to you when we have you on the show, and we let you read us your Bob books and all. Can you take the volume down while you're gaming so we could do our show? What do you think? All right. So when you get excited, just keep it a little bit lower. We're not going to be on the show all day. You've already been gaming for 9,000 hours. 9,000 hours of gaming.
I don't think I feel like I've been just playing for 2 minutes.
No, you haven't been playing for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Can you believe this, Derek?
15
2 minutes. I just want you to know 2 hours. First of all, 2 minutes includes an hour when I was napping while he was playing. Okay. So that's on top of the hour he was playing before and probably the hour now. So what do we have? 3 hours? Horrible parenting by us. Horrible parenting. Where's your mother, by the way? Where is she? Huh? I know
she's working as well, but in silence.
she's probably thinking, okay, if nobody asks for me,
if I don't go anywhere or I don't say anything, everything's okay. I will be good.
I'm good. Oh, okay. Little
well, that's all right because Sunday we got our thing, so you'll be out of the house at least early or whenever we're going.
I got to call the field because it's under snow still, and I don't know if they're going to clear it.
Oh, so we might not even have anything.
Yeah, I'm going to see about try to get some indoor thing last second, but I don't know. And you might remember this from the beginning of when we did do it up in North Jersey. We always try to do it in February early.
But it never works out.
We could never. This is the reason why those tournaments that they have, which is I love that they have at the end of February. I'd like to just go to that. I think we may just go to that tournament if it's nice out, and just dial it up, just so we have something for them to do, because it is so hard with the snow and stuff to like, and then if you go indoors, it's like $9,000 to go indoors. That's the problem with indoors is that. You could do it like if you're running an event, yeah, it's worthwhile. You have 50 kids or whatever. You're paying a lot of money, but you have kids. If you're doing like practice, it's very expensive for practicing every time because it adds up, and it's not like you have something to offset.
When we're doing it for free,
yeah, you don't have an offset of cost, and then you have to charge them.
But didn't you know nothing is for free, Coach Schuman? I had to drop it.
Nothing. I know.
Although it's a free video on YouTube of
you're so evil
of you explaining the recruiting process.
I know you're evil.
Not asking.
Give me away a free video. Evil. You're Dr. Evil.
Pay me $100 and I'll get you recruited. Don't think you said that.
No,
not at all.
Actually, never.
Nothing is for free.
I love it.
I've coached soccer for years.
I know. The people right. Soccer, which has clubs out the yin yang.
Which they rob people more than anybody.
I pay for these things for my kid. I'm learning pretty quick. I charge nothing compared to everybody else. And I always say like, hey, you go to NUC Sports, you get all the recruiting info you ever want and never, ever, ever have to pay a dime because I have it all on there for you. Thousands of articles, resources.
And imagine if you actually did charge for each one of those things.
There are times
you sure as hell wouldn't be doing a podcast with me.
No. Hey, the podcast I do with you, that's free.
My friend, people just at some point, I don't know.
So here we go. Let's get a little shameless promotion in here. Here's the big man.
We're looking to rip.
Load rip. Good.
As you'll see,
we're all going to go to the left.
This is our big man.
Our main focus is being able to teach the defensive linemen how to get control of the offensive player, the blocker, and then be able to shed them by getting rid of them and then ripping by the offensive lineman. You'll see this in the drill over and over again. And then we also so we're exploding.
Your hand behind the line.
Coach, we're not that skinny in this camp.
That's right.
Good.
No. But I love that you're taking notes there. Is that you?
Yeah.
That's you. You're evaluating.
I always have a clip where I'm always writing something.
This was a great camp, by the way. I have to.
Probably we said this was probably one of our better ones in all the years we've done things.
Exactly. I'm not just saying it because the talent was really good.
It was just beyond that. It was so much more than just the talent.
Those kids were really, really fun to work with. They were
all in, ready to go.
They were fun. They were a ton of fun. And I guess let me see if I have an image here so I could kids who might want to go. Okay, here we go. Big Man Elite, get your invite for it. You can hit me up on Twitter at Coach Schuman. Shoot, you can hit Coach D up. He'll send it over to me. At Coach Deepa, he needs some more followers. Okay,
I'm working on it.
He needs more followers, man. Like back in the day. So Big Man Elite Camp March 21st. Back in the day, Coach D. Okay,
that Big Man Camp is always a good one, by the way.
It's great camp. Coach D needs some followers at Coach Deepa. Let's see if we can put that up on the screen for you, Coach. You know what I'm saying? Give you a little love. Let's see where is it? Where's my banners here? At Coach Deepa. I hope this is right on Twitter. Follow him up, or you can follow me. But I have a lot of followers, so you know, hey, who doesn't want more make believe love? But it's okay. All right. You can follow us. There you go. You can follow Coach. Is that right, Coach?
That is right.
On Twitter, or Coach Schuman on Twitter. And, you know, those are shameless plugs for us following. First of all, Coach D dropped some good knowledge on there, too. I'm not just I'm not just someone who's on Twitter from, you know, I see myself. I see stuff that he posts, and he drops some good knowledge on there. I feel like I think I dropped decent knowledge, and I put a lot of stuff up there. But it's a lot of, you know, I enjoy the interaction with the players, and you know, check out topprospectelite.com if you got an invite. We'd love to have you. But yeah, so visit Coach. Visit me, and visit the receiverarch.com. Coach Deepa wants to
You're just plugging away, man. You're just plugging away.
Yeah, he wants to go receive. It's like being watching a Ben Shapiro show, you know, like he's plugging like
just let it fly, baby.
He's plugging like some ExpressVPN, and get your ExpressVPN right now. ExpressVPN. I don't even know what ExpressVPN is, but.
But if it works.
So, yeah. So Tennessee, it's interesting. If Josh Heupel turns that around, it'll be one of the best turnarounds in college football.
Absolutely.
And as it always is, when you take over something that's kind of near the bottom, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Right, and I have a feeling he's going to have some sanctions on him. You know what I mean? He's going to have to deal with a little bit of that moving forward. But ultimately, if he does come out of it, look out.
Hey, the guy who I referenced for this, now I don't know if this is the right person to reference from a quote. Like, he's had quite a few of his own sanctions, I think, but when he was at North Carolina. But Butch Davis, when he was at Miami, he took over that program. It was on probation, right?
And they still did things.
And they won a national championship. He took his lumps the first year or so, even though they were still pretty good, I think. But
yeah.
But it wasn't like he went to the gutter. But I think it was like maybe 500 that first year, I want to say. And then it took off from there. And ultimately, did he win? He won a national championship, and
he won a national championship.
Yeah, what's his name one after him?
Coker.
And speaking of Coker, I don't know if it's because I drank my bulletproof coffee. No, they don't endorse me, but I do love it. Just in case Bulletproof happens to like browse across and they see it, you know, we'll take an endless amount of Bulletproof coffee. I don't know if you drink coffee, but
I'd love to try it.
Oh yeah, it's good. It gets me, yo. So I drink my Bulletproof coffee, and so here's what I saw that was really interesting. The number one recruiting class in, I want to say the conference's Sun Belt was UTSA, which shocked me. Texas San Antonio. I don't know. That's where Coker originally took over, right?
That's where he was after Miami.
I don't know who the coach is.
He started the program. Well, I don't know. You know, he was the first head coach.
Yeah, he was the first head coach, but they had the number one class in their conference. That shocked me.
Wow.
That just shows you how many good players there are. Like, I feel like And North Texas has been getting better. It's kind of like Florida, how they have FAU now and FIU and UCF, and they could all
water down themselves.
They could all win. But the issue comes not on them, but the Power 5 schools, like Miami, UF, and Florida State. Do they lose a couple of guys that maybe they don't have enough time with?
Right.
To one of those schools because they just didn't spend enough time normally may have gotten.
I think that's a lot of it, yeah.
Or a player goes there and says, I want to play right away, right? Like
that's always the issue. And then if they don't play right away, now, okay, I'll just go to USF. I'll go to UCF. Right. Because you think about it, you got in Florida itself, right? You have a ton of those schools, but you have your big three, right? I think about it. You have Miami, Florida State, Florida, right? Those would be the three that you would think of, are kind of at the top. You know what I mean? Even though, Miami hasn't exactly been what it should be. Florida State hasn't exactly been what it should be. Florida is kind of just coming back to what it should be, right? Those are your top three. Then you kind of have USF and UCF in my eyes, right? I think those guys are kind of along those lines. And then you have, I think, Florida International and then Florida Atlantic. Right. So I think they kind of have three tiers of colleges in Miami, in the state of Florida itself, all Division I, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, you're looking at, you got one, SEC school, in Florida, you got two ACC schools in Miami and Florida State. And then you're kind of working with those lower level conferences or non-Power 5 guys, USF, UCF, Florida Atlantic, and then Florida International. But at the same time, like you said, like it's always
going on in Texas now, right?
What's that?
So now that's going on in Texas. In the past, you would have had all three of them have a good chance to be good.
Right.
Does that mean maybe only one or two of them could be good now?
Right.
Maybe
now,
not.
So it's almost like, are you depleting your own? You know what I mean? I mean, Texas, you have
Texas is way bigger.
Texas, you have Texas.
And
right?
Texas A&M, TCU, Texas Tech,
TCU, Texas Tech,
SMU.
But I'm saying, as far as like, if you wanted to look at it as kind of like we did in Florida with tiers, right?
Okay, yeah.
You would put Texas, Texas A&M, TCU, Texas Tech, right?
I'm trying to think if we're missing some. Where's Houston in that?
But that's what I'm saying. Houston, I think, is more along the lines of a USF, UCF.
Right. So Houston would be like Houston, SMU.
Right. Houston, I think, and then
North Texas.
I would think Houston, SMU, and then even on a third tier is where I think you would put a, Texas, San Antonio.
Incarnate Word will be Incarnate Word will be D1. You never even heard of Incarnate Word. It's in Texas. It's at FCS.
Yeah. And then I think you would put a North Texas there. And then obviously
UT San Antonio. Right. What about Texas State? That's also Division I. They've struggled.
So I would think that would be in that third tier. Texas State, and then what was the new one you just said?
Incarnate Word.
Right.
Which is FCS, I think, in the process of going.
Right. So like I said, that's the same type of thing like you have in Florida, where you have three tiers of those types of programs, right? Same thing in Texas. You have your Texas, your TCU, your A&M, your Texas Tech on that high level. Then you have your Houston, your SMU right below that. And then you have your Texas San Antonio.
You got Baylor. I
think Baylor's along the lines of a Houston and SMU.
No.
I would get them. So you would put Baylor in that top?
The traditional. So this is going way back in time.
If you're talking history, then SMU should be up there.
If you go in history, Houston and SMU should be up there because they're all in the Southwest Conference back in the day. The Southwest Conference, the Texas schools in the Southwest Conference, I'm just going back in the day. And then that's part of why it broke apart because
I think you could even put a Texas Tech, not to cut you off, but even a Texas Tech might be in that second tier of Texas schools.
No. Well, hold on. Well, let's. You have to have the Power 5 conference schools are all in the same category. in my opinion. So they're all Power 5 schools. If you're saying
that makes sense, if you want to do it that way, that makes a lot of sense.
If you're saying who is the quote unquote most famous programs in Texas that have the easiest ability to recruit,
that's a better way.
I would say Texas A&M.
It's a better way you're doing it. Conference based.
Yeah, conference based. But if you're saying
Texas,
who are the two big dogs, like the equivalent big dogs as far as like recruiting wise goes to Miami, Florida State, in Texas would be Texas
A&M.
And A&M. I think that's the old. I'm trying to think.
And even Texas is in the Big 12.
Right, but Texas,
A&M in the SEC.
Texas has its own network.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely Texas.
Okay, so those two states are done. Now we have to do the other the two others, right?
California is more difficult.
You got to do California.
Because you got there's a million of them, Pac-12 wise, and they have the same thing.
Do California, right?
So who's Pac-12? You got Cal. Go north.
You got USC. Do your top dogs. Go from the top down.
The big dogs in California are USC, UCLA. Then you go Stanford, Cal. And the others are non-Power 5, I'm thinking.
Then you got what?
Fresno's a very good program.
Fresno State. You got San Jose State.
San Diego State. Are all of them Mountain West or some of them some? I don't know.
It though? Is that there's 7?
Let me think.
I mean, we could pull it up.
I think that's it. San Jose, Fresno, San Diego.
Stanford, Cal, USC, UCLA. Yeah. Right.
What's interesting there is
the two in the middle are a hell of academic universities, though.
Yeah, academically, all of them are actually very good. I mean, well, if you go academically,
oh God,
every single one of the Pac-12 California schools are great schools. I mean, obviously Stanford's, probably top 4 or 5 every year in the country.
Right.
But Stanford, Cal were great. Geniuses go there. And then you got UCLA and then USC, all probably top 20 if you took all of them. The interesting thing about, I think, the California schools that's a little different is that what helps like San Jose State, San Diego State, and Fresno State, because those other schools are such good academic schools, those other schools don't have to focus as hard on decent students, which I think helps them in recruiting, which is why you see them always pretty good. Right. Like you could focus on, as long as they have the minimum requirements. I hate to say that, but if they're a good player,
we know how that works.
Yeah, but whereas Texas, Texas is a really good school. Texas is the best.
A&M.
Oh, you know who we forgot in Texas? Rice. We forgot Rice. They got a lot more schools.
So Rice would also be in that, I think, lower middle tier.
Yeah, because they are in the.
Rice would be with like Houston, SMU.
Yeah. But what conference are they in now?
Whew.
So the old, I wonder. I want to pull it up because I want to make sure I'm right. The old Southwest Conference. I'm so old that I remember when that conference ended. It was a great conference, like in the 90s or something. I remember being upset about it. And I was already in college. I was upset about it. All right. So the old Southwest Conference, the Texas schools in the old Southwest Conference was Baylor, Houston, Rice was in it, SMU, Texas, Texas A&M, TCU, Texas Tech. They were all hunting. It's actually must have been harder back in the day, to be honest, right? If you think about it, they were all in the same tier.
You're all playing each other.
And they're all in the same tier. That's why they had I think part of it too, there was so much corruption in that conference as far as like with cheating and stuff, money.
I can only imagine.
Because yeah, you're right. Like if you're competing for the same players within your state, appealing to state schools for the but then you have Rice, which is a high academic, SMU, which is a private kind of more bougie school. Dallas.
I'd love to see what those and then obviously you're going to have favoritism among this high school sends their guys. He's a Texas guy. If you're a high school, you're probably trying to hire a GA or a former player from every one of those colleges to get the in, think about that corruption.
That's got to be it's right. And then high school, right. The high school coaches alma mater or have to not all, but obviously the majority of the high school alma maters are guys that played probably at one of those schools.
Or it's kind of one of these hey, he asked, the Texas head coach to speak at his clinic. We're not sending our guys, you know what I mean? Think about that just.
Or if you were let's say you were an alumni of say head coach was an alumni of SMU, right? And you allowed a Texas guy to come in and talk. The SMU alumni will be mad at you for allowing this Texas coach to come in and talk to players.
You graduated from here. How could you let your player go there?
How could you let your player go there? Yeah. That had to be fun back in the day, boy. What?
Be all right, you want the guys from this high school? Just hire me.
What?
Wow. So then what about Ohio?
I just think Ohio has a ton of D1 programs.
Now you have.
But there's a clear pecking order there.
Yeah, obviously you have.
I think it's probably the most differentiated in
you
the
have Ohio State and then everybody else.
Right. Is there anyone else besides Ohio State?
I wouldn't think
it's Ohio State, Cincinnati.
Right. Those two.
Right. Ohio State.
Then you have Akron.
All the MAC schools. Akron.
Bowling Green.
What'd you say?
Bowling Green.
Ohio U.
Ohio. Akron, Bowling Green. Toledo. Is that it?
I'm trying to think of all the.
There are only 6.
I'm trying to think of the cities in the.
And Miami, Ohio.
Miami of Ohio. Is there any other?
That's it.
That's a lot for that. That state's big, but it's not that.
7.
I think about what does New Jersey have? 1. It is.
Then I look at a state as big as Pennsylvania, and you only have
2.
3.
We have Penn State, Pittsburgh,
Temple.
All in 3 different locations too. Should have a good chance, and they do in their respective. New
York.
New York has Syracuse, Buffalo,
close to each other.
Right. Is there any other D1s there? That's it, right?
No, that's it. Because NYU don't have anything. St. John's doesn't have anything.
Yeah. I have to believe that at some point.
If you think about it, for the most part, most other states pretty much have 2. Washington State, Arizona State. That's kind of what you're working with for the most part.
Colorado State.
Maybe what you have LSU and the Cajuns.
Louisiana has got more than, for size of its state, they've got a good amount. They have LSU, Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Monroe. That's 4. That's a lot for it's a small state. They just have a lot of prospects though. Tulane is 5.
That's right. I always forget.
That's a lot. That's a lot for
that's probably the top
24 million people in the state.
Yeah. Because like I said, most states you look at maybe have 2. Yep. Well, yeah, you're right. South Carolina, Clemson.
Is there any? Well, no. Now there's Coastal. Good point.
What about, and like you have North Carolina with North Carolina, East Carolina.
North Carolina's got a ton too. North Carolina, Carolina State, East Carolina.
What about University of Charlotte? That's
Duke, University of Charlotte, definitely.
wow.
There's more. Wake Forest is 6. Am I missing any?
That's a lot.
That's a lot for that state has more population, but still, that's a lot. That's 6. That definitely probably is what has hurt a little bit.
Probably what has hurt North Carolina.
Consistency at those.
Unless you have a guy like Mac Brown in there who can demand that.
I mean, North Carolina State's been pretty good, usually pretty good.
NC State, did you even say them?
I don't know. Did I say no? NC State. So is that 6 or 7? Is that
it's 7? Like 7.
There's a lot in that state. There's a lot. What does Virginia have? Virginia Tech.
Hampton, is that D1?
FCS. Virginia Tech. That might be it, D1, because they have a lot of FCS in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Maryland is Maryland.
Navy. Oh, did you say Virginia? Did you say Richmond?
It's FCS.
Yeah, so then that's it. It's just Virginia Tech, University of Virginia. That's it.
Yep. Maryland is just Maryland, right?
That's it. Maryland and Navy. Are we counting Army for New York State?
Yeah, it should. Yes, they actually have 3 in New York State. I mean, it's a big state, but they just don't have a ton of prospect. Connecticut.
Yeah, you gotta think like juice worth the squeeze.
Connecticut has Connecticut. Mass has
UMass
and Boston College. They actually did pretty good in recruiting this year.
It's your boy.
Doesn't talk to me anymore, I guess. I guess I'm not cool anymore.
Big time.
Listen, I can't tell you how many times I've been big time. If I brought it, if I brought the reveal of how many times I've been big time.
Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
Memphis.
3. Even Kentucky, right?
No, more than that. Middle Tennessee State.
Right.
That's 4.
Forget about them. But then you're looking at like, and then you think about like Kentucky, you have Kentucky, Western Kentucky. I think that's it.
Louisville.
There's another 3.
Those are huge. When you get to like football is so big outside the Northeast, I think.
Oh my God.
Midwest and South. That look at Minnesota. Minnesota, you got
look at Michigan. What about Michigan?
University of Minnesota. What else do they have that's D1 there? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michigan's the one you got to look at.
Michigan State.
Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Central Michigan.
Is there any others?
You get every Michigan.
Anything with Michigan associated with it? No, Northern Michigan is D2.
But they do have one.
By the way, Northern Michigan.
It's like Canada, bro.
I represented a player from Central Michigan, and he was telling me the story and that's pretty north. I asked him about Northern Michigan. He said Northern Michigan is like
just it's Fargo.
It's like way up there. I mean, way. I don't even know that I can fathom it, actually, to be honest. It's cold. Like Maine is cold, but the only thing I can equate it to is one time we played Maine, and I may have told you a story.
Right, and it was raining in the beginning and like snowing by the end of the game.
No, it was snow. We came in there. We flew into Bangor, Maine. An office joke is sitting on the table with that one. Bangor, Maine.
Leave it at that.
It's in my head. I want to do it, but I can't.
Don't.
So you come into Bangor, Maine, and you go on this highway to go to Orono. And I had never seen anything like this. They're like, Cadet Yukon is cold,
Right.
and lots of snow. The highways on the side of the highways, it was like a wall of snow. It was so
It's a mountain.
high. I was like, how much snow do they get here? I was just so surprised.
That's all it does. It just snows and snows and snows and snows. That's it. And it doesn't get time to melt. You know what I mean?
Right, because it's not until it gets warm. But the best the beaches for fun. I have to say, in the summer, I enjoyed my trip to Maine.
I can imagine.
Lobster.
And I just want you to know, Kobe in Maine. I saw another guy sign. A kid from Bosco signed.
Oh yeah, they did really good. I heard.
He must have hit Jersey tough and pulled some dudes.
Well, when he was
I personally think is a very smart move. Not just because I'm biased to Jersey, but look, if you're trying to get kids to leave their element and start something at a high academic, like a high academic like that, and you can get some of these kids that, can play some ball, you can start and now you start that pipeline, man. I'm just telling you that's an amazing thing.
He was at Maine. He was the head coach at Maine.
It's an amazing thing.
He used to always have really good Jersey players. Like that was kind of his. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Maine used Coach Cosgrove. That's it, Coach. When he was at Maine, he was at Maine back when I played, but he was up there until he retired or whatever. And he would always get these Jersey players that were
like, why is he there?
Well, my question, it's amazing. Like, I was always surprised at how they would go to Maine,
Mm-hmm.
It was, but they were always good. Like, they got like a mix of
if
things.
You can get that right.
Mix that they would get those big old linemen from New England.
Yeah, bro. And then you just get a couple little skill guys down here that can run and do some things.
Makes all the difference.
You can turn some heads and you get the right combination. Plus, I'm thinking there's not really much to do up there other than study and play ball.
Well, once you're there,
that's what I'm like. Study and play ball. Let's go.
It's a great school. You're definitely doing a lot of studying there. So,
and listen, then you get guys that are programmed and focused on certain things. That's what it is. Like they know they have to get their studies done because and hell, then they're going to start enjoy playing football. It ain't a business because they're studying so much. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, this football stuff is fun, even though it sucks.
They have, what else they have? You have to see it. I'm going to have to send it to you. Their facilities are bonkers for.
Listen, I'm ready to go. I want to make a visit.
D3.
I've never been to Maine.
See if I can pull it up. This is an endorsement for Colby College.
Now, this is just an opinion, everybody.
If
this is an opinion for free. It's a free opinion. Just want everybody to know that.
Free opinions.
We're not charging for this information.
All right, I'm gonna pull this up. My sister happened to show it. I'm not in. She's full disclosure. She's the assistant athletic director at Colby. So I happen to have seen it, which is why I think it's pretty cool because I was surprised for a D3 school. A D3, I should say a D3 high academic school like they are, that they
you would say they're like an Amherst, like a Wesley.
Yeah, same conference.
A Wesleyan.
Watch this. This is pretty cool. It's only a minute. This is their facilities. Can you see?
Yeah.
That's their sports facilities.
There's no snow.
I don't know who that is, but he must be a donor.
That's him right there.
Beautiful.
That's nice.
Yeah. Look at this basketball stadium for a D3 school. That's pretty sick. Indoor turf.
Best game ever, by the way, right there.
Yeah, I was just going to say to you, my favorite thing in college.
Racquetball is the most amazing thing ever. There you go, Troy. Indoor tennis, man. That's really good. Oh, okay. Now we're good. Now that's real.
Yeah. That's a sick facility. That's a sick facility for Ivy League.
That's got to be state of the art.
And that's not even the football fields.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, obviously,
they have to. When especially with Jersey guys, they have to have something that's pulling them in. Because obviously you go to Amherst, which is a great school, always been a good program in that conference. Like they always win,
right?
Williams is a traditional big time academic school, big tradition. I think that. And then there was one other school I was thinking of. I think that's the F's, the Williams. But the
was it like Middlebury?
Middlebury's in there, Vermont, right? That you probably passed that at some point. I just think that's so. I was like, they have to have something, you know what I mean? That's getting these Jersey guys to come there and
right, because those guys ain't
they ain't going like
they're not going there for nothing.
That's what we try to articulate to our players, that like that's why it's important to explore things, because listen, if you like, let's say Colby called up a player and you didn't really know much about it, you just know it's a great school, but if you're like kind of against D3 football, you don't get excited by it. If you take the time to go onto a campus and I'm sure there are other schools like this across the country, right? Probably a ton of them. You go on one of their campuses and you see the facility and you realize, hey man, there's a lot of money invested here, So
maybe it's the place I wanna, you know what I mean?
And I'm gonna get a degree. That's gonna be,
and I'm gonna get a degree, and with with this degree coming out, I'm set up pretty nice.
Let's do it. It's pretty.
No, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. I was shocked.
It really makes me want to go, go visit and see, what the deal is.
What's that? You want to come on the show? All right, trivia. Okay. All right, I'm thinking.
Trivia, Troy. Good.
All right, let's see if you can recognize teams maybe by their uniforms.
Okay.
We'll give you 5 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull each.
We're watching Family Feud.
Oh yeah, Family Feud. Okay.
Dad, it's happening right now.
Okay. All right.
It's the Christian.
That's our show, by the way. Now, Family Feud.
Some of the answers some of those people give, I can't.
All right. We'll go with the first one here. All right. Here we go. All right, we're gonna share it. Here's the first one. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. All right, here we go. All right, here's your first one. Can you see this? All the pictures here?
Daddy always says the thing.
You can't read it. What team is it?
The Packers.
Oh man! You knew that. Okay, we'll go to another one here. That's 1 for 1. Okay, I'll dive in on. Let's dive in on him here. Okay, what team is this? This is tougher.
Is it the Eagles?
No, it's not the Eagles. I'll give you one.
Falcons?
Nope. All right, that's the Steelers. Okay, let's go. So 1 for 2.
I'm just surprised he even knows the names.
Oh, hold on. That's not. I think I gave it away there by accident, but well. Okay. We'll zoom in. Who will we zoom in on here? Let's go with Jalen Hurts here. What team does this guy play for?
Oh, that's easy. It says the same right there. It's an eagle.
Oh, the Eagles, 2 for 3. Okay.
Not bad, Troy.
That's not bad. If you could get this one,
Yeah.
I'll be really impressed.
Oh.
All right, this is number 4 here. I'll be really impressed. We'll do these two guys here.
Okay. The Saints?
Yes! Wow. I guess I watched a lot more football than I realized.
They did. They say all the time, they're always watching and listening, so you never know.
Okay, you got 2 left. I'm going to give you a bonus. The bonus, if you don't get the bonus, I'll actually be shocked. I think you'll get the bonus. All right, here is.
Oh, Troy.
Okay, we'll put this guy up here.
This is Mommy's favorite, the Giants.
Correct. Wow, 4 for 5. All right, this last one will be a layup for you just because.
Yeah, I knew it.
You know, I
you got to give him one.
I have to give him one layup.
I'm actually nasty, though.
I'm actually surprised. The Jets, correct.
That's impressive, dude.
That's pretty good, right? You don't think
job, Troy.
You really don't think that don't
that's pretty impressive, buddy.
You want to do one more? You want to try a college team? This is I'm trying to think if you watched any college games. I think you have. Let me see if I can. Let me try this.
That's I don't even care about this one. That
was
that's impressive, buddy.
All right,
that's good work, dude. Good job, my man.
Do you remember when we watched it?
And Troy is what, 5, 6?
5.
Right, he turned 6 in June.
It's called.
We're not putting up that school.
They really easy.
All right, here we go. Who did Pete want us to put up?
Who do you think?
I think I put him up, but not because I saw him. Who's that?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
What team is this?
This is a tough one. You watched them.
I noticed.
You know. Look at the mascot,
which is a little deceiving.
You're right. It is. You're right. It is deceiving.
It has to be.
That is what actually maybe makes it harder, actually, because
it's not the name.
Ocean City.
Ocean City.
I like it.
Ocean City. I like what you're thinking. Aren't they red?
Yes, they are red. 100% they are red.
How? No, good guess. They are the same color as the Chiefs. 100% same. This is the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'll give you one more because this is tougher. I'll give you one more.
The fact that where did he pull Ocean City from?
All right, I'm going to give you 2. I'm just curious. This one, I don't expect you to get this.
Now we're in the testing phase.
If you get this, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if you get this. Can you see it, Derek?
Yeah.
This is the State University of New Jersey, but there's a specific name to it.
Okay, so is it?
None of your family members went to it, so that's just going to make it even more harder. So. And you went to a game. You went to a couple games last year, but you were 4. You may not remember it. You went to a couple of games last year, not this past year, but the year before. I think you were too young.
You're giving them a lot of red too.
Is it?
Pete says good thing.
Red Bank?
Red Bank. I like what you're going with the R.
I like the R.
You like the R. I like the way you're processing it good.
Yeah.
Rutgers. You are processing good. I like the guess, the educated.
Maybe by the time you're old enough to realize they might have some wins, buddy.
That's a tough one. That's an educated guess.
Could we do 2 more?
I'm gonna give you 2 more, just because I love you. I'm gonna give you 2 more because you're patient and let's. All right, you've been to a game at this team too. Look at the kaleidoscope here. Okay. You actually went to, I think, 2 games when you were 4 also to this.
Wait a minute. Is that
We definitely talk about this school in the house a lot.
wait a minute. Leopard?
They are tigers, actually. Okay.
They look like a leopard.
Good. They're actually
Same
called the
family.
You're in the right area.
But then why is the initials RP?
Oh, well, that's the school. The school is Princeton. You ever heard of Princeton? Okay, so we're gonna have to get you back to some games there because we did take you to. I took you to a couple.
I've never been there.
You've never been to Princeton game?
No.
I'll take you next year. We'll bring your nephew.
I've been to a.
It is awesome.
What did I go to?
You'll love it. You'll love it.
I went to a Penn Brown game at Penn when I was young.
Penn is great. It's inner city. It's in the city, I should say.
But we took the train in. It was amazing.
It's a great place. Princeton, I think you'll walk in and you'll be like,
I really want to go see a game at Harvard.
Harvard. I've been to the game. Harvard versus Yale.
See, and I think going to see Yale play Harvard at Yale, like I think I'd like to do the Ivy League thing because there's a lot of tradition there.
If you get this,
Yeah.
special prizes for you.
All right, Troy, last one. Let's see what you got, bud.
You've also been here, not for a game though, but you've been on this campus.
God help us all.
We'll even feature good old Randy.
Remember, I noticed.
Look at their
the
look.
Huskies.
That's right. The UConn, where Daddy went. That's their coach, Randy.
There you go,
Edsel.
Pete. You got your UConn.
Oh, is that what Pete wanted?
He wanted UConn all the way.
We went there on the way to Maine, Portland. That's right. There you go.
Good job, Troy. That was pretty impressive.
That's right. And
look, college is hard. College is hard, but we're like, we're more college guys, I think. So it's, but for most people, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, you get a special prize. Give me a guess.
When?
I'll think about it. But you'll get maybe yesterday's this weekend, maybe.
Whoa.
Yesterday this week. It's yesterday this week. And yesterday this week.
Actually, I didn't think that was going to be interesting. It actually turned out to be interesting because I couldn't believe how many he got. I didn't expect him to get any.
Dude, he crushed it.
I mean, I knew we'd get the Jets. Because
I like the way he was making the connections. Like, oh, that's mommy's team, Giants.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like,
mommy pushes the Giants.
Oh,
I knew. It's funny because I knew he would know that because
I liked his Eagles. Like he knew the Eagle. Like even when he got them wrong, he still guessed actual teams.
And it took 10 minutes up. Well, it does take 10 minutes. Although we're actually having a pretty long show today, which I didn't even expect because we almost had nothing prepared basically. So,
we know we're gonna have a lot come Monday.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I can't. I'm impressed he got UConn because he was 4.5 years old when he went up there. So it's not like he would have. I don't remember. The only thing I remember from being 4 is my mother dropped me off at nursery school and me crying like a bloody murder. I was so upset. That's the only thing I remember from 4. And then it's fast forward to basically, I think 6 from there. Oh man. So, but anyway. Well, I think that's a
good way to end it right there, man.
Yep, you still sticking with your initial picks. I before I go, I want to get your. I did an interesting thing on my Super Bowl board, and I want to run it by you. Okay,
go for it.
All right, so here's my board. Okay, so what I did, you normally pick all these random, like I pick a you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, of course.
Kind of numbers that I think are going to happen, and it never happens. Okay. The board is they got by quarters, and I guess in final score. All right. Yeah. So And what is it? You have to match the number, right, in each quarter? Like
it's like you just pick a box, and then it's the last number of the score. Match your numbers. You know what I mean? Like the score itself and the last number. So if it's 10-10, if you have 0-0, you win.
Right. So here's what I did. I never did it this way before, but I always lose doing it the other way. So I did it a different way. I picked a bunch of numbers within the same scheme, basically. Like, just kind of long and the short of it, as many as I can get from the high 40s all the way into the 70s. I picked 10 numbers.
That's cool.
So I just went and I picked them and hoping the final score ends up on. And then, that's a totally different strategy and everything, because I never won doing my other strategy where I'm like, I try to actually, okay, what would the next quarter number end, this quarter number end? I said, let me go with like a group of numbers and see if it works. So if I win anything on it, see you later, Pete. Great having you on. If I win, I will definitely be like, okay, I'm going to try that again next year too.
Yeah, it's definitely a way to go about it.
Yeah, I never try to do. I always try to like, what is it? The number's going to be at the end of the quarter. What's the and then I just
but then that never works out. You know what I'm saying?
Let me just take a swath of numbers and pick 10 different numbers from within this scope of numbers, and then see what happens. Anyway, so that's that. Since you're more of a gambling guru than I am,
okay.
You know, since you're Lucky Luciano over there.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of that, I just started watching Boardwalk Empire again.
Oh, is that why Pete? What did Pete post?
I don't know. I saw him put that up, but then when I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah. I just started watching. I love that show. That was great.
I watched the first.
It definitely gets weird, but
I stopped watching it. I don't remember why.
It gets a little too weird, but I don't know. Especially living down here now, so close to Atlantic City, I'm like, oh. Plus, that's my favorite time era. If I was in the 1920s, like Prohibition, like bootlegging and gangsters and all that craziness. Yeah.
What era? Okay. This is a good question to end with. Okay. If you could live and you could pick two eras, not from when have been alive. So anything before from the time
pre-1986.
Pre-1986. What eras would you have liked to be kind of like living in? Like, I guess
like that era right there. So that's like Gadsby era, I would say. Like
that's the 20s.
Like post World War I, like 1920s, right? Post World War I, World War II.
That's one
window. That's a great question.
There's pros and cons to different eras. Are you looking for a historic era? Are you looking for a enlightened era? Are you looking for a revolutionary time era?
Are we going what are we talking, like United States of America? Or are we talking like forever?
Okay. Let's to appease everything. We'll go United States first, and then we can go all time. You can pick two.
U.S. It would be like 1920s, right? Like definitely. And then I think I would probably have liked to been around like Revolutionary War time. Like that would be like fighting the British, like that whole kind of era where everything's kind of taken form and things like that. Like I think that would have been, that would have probably been for me big time. And then if we're talking world, ancient Rome. Like Roman Colosseum era, like Colosseum definitely.
Good.
And then
ancient Rome. That's a long time period. When in ancient Rome, you gotta go. Give me one of the
Julius Caesar era.
Oh God, okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so that would be one, and then I'd have to go with like medieval times, like Crusades, like castles, knights.
Well, who are you? Are you a peasant? Are you a peasant or are you royalty in that time?
I'm like a middle of the road.
What is that? There is no middle of the road back then. You're either a peasant or your royalty?
I'm like a knight at the round table.
Oh, you're a knight.
I'm protecting the queen. Yeah, so that's my thing. Or a close third is like Braveheart era.
Oh,
Like barbarian fighting for my free. Yeah, dude. Like I'm living rough.
yeah, you're living rough.
That's
Okay.
a great question, though.
That's a good question because there are pros and cons to any of these.
Everything. That's tough though, and like you really have to that's. It's like a question like if you could have dinner with 3 people anytime, well, who would you? Hello.
I think I know my answers to that question. I know. I actually kind of think I have. That is tough because the 3 people to limit it to 3 would be tough.
Well, answer this one.
What's that?
Answer the one you just asked me.
Okay, so I'll answer errors. Okay, so the first one for me would be post Civil War.
Ooh, Reconstruction.
Post Civil War, the West.
You want to be? What are you, a freaking cowboy?
Yes. Post Civil War.
All right, Jesse James.
Okay, that's the first one. The second one, I actually think I'm in agreement with you. Right around the Revolutionary time period, I think would be it'd be a scary time, but it would be.
I would have liked to be one of the dudes dumping tea into the harbor.
I would have liked to have felt like I would have been enlightened enough to see where it was going. Now that's a tricky thing because
because you don't know, and all of a sudden you might pick the wrong damn side.
Maybe you picked the wrong side. Maybe you thought that the rebels were wrong, right?
Right. And if you're sitting there going, back and forth, that's what like Civil War, like post Civil War. You still had dudes that were so pissed that everything was going on. Like it was still a war going on, even though the war wasn't going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if you didn't move west, you were probably still fighting.
If you didn't move west, that's why I specifically.
You're just like, I'm gone.
I'm out west, cowboy land.
I do like that. Only mine would go. I would.
I probably wouldn't have lasted very long because even if you were a good gunfighter,
it doesn't matter. You're gonna die of dysentery or something.
You're probably gonna die young.
Yeah,
so,
I would have gone if I was going that way. I would have gone west and north, like Yukon territory. Like I'm going into Alaska. Or I would have done that crazy,
like Colorado west, Montana, which was although that was probably pretty dangerous.
Gold rush stuff,
that was probably pretty dangerous too because the Indians had been pushed around.
They were so pissed,
and they were fighting back, so it might have been dangerous for you to live there.
They finally realized we're getting shafted.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think they realized that earlier, but that was just Custer's last stand.
Hell yeah, man.
So that's when Sitting Bull and.
All right, so you're going west, and then you're going revolutionary like me. But what about world stuff?
Oh, world! I forgot. I'm sorry. World stuff. Let me think about this for a quick second. Just trying to think of some errors that I would have. I'm trying to think of one that I would enjoy, just enjoyed living in. I don't know if there's one.
It's tough.
I would have liked to have been around when Jesus Christ was preaching, because now that's partially. Obviously, I'm partial there, but I would.
You're talking like Middle East, man.
Yeah, even more than just not
for that specifically. Obviously, that's
even though that is a big thing for me in my life, but not just because of that.
Right.
Because I would have liked to hear for myself and interpret for myself.
Right. You want a firsthand account.
An account of what was being said and done,
how much actually got lost in translation,
and would I have been a follower,
right?
obviously the Bible's been I would say these are easier times, spoon-fed to you, so you have an opportunity to learn it in a.
I get it.
But would I have been a person that would have embraced?
Would you have jumped on board, or would you have been the other way?
Would I have been against it? I don't know. I would like to think that I would have, but that's what I think is so interesting about those times, because they are. And then the second one, the Roman Empire is tough, but I think there's a ton of glory to that, right?
For me, it's either that or ancient Greece.
What's that?
I said that and ancient Greece together. I love that.
I think I would have liked to have been a Spartan.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Which would be
just the Olympics in general, like everything, that whole era.
Yeah. I would have social distancing.
Notice because of just the way that history is taught,
yeah.
Just the way history is taught, neither of us have any interest in any Eastern culture.
Well, I would.
You're not taught that, dude.
So, have you read Art
of War?
Yes.
Yeah. I listened to it again while driving this week.
It is
right. But because that's not taught firsthand account in school, most people know nothing about any Eastern history whatsoever. Great Wall of China stuff, Genghis Khan stuff, Ming, dynasties, all this stuff. We don't know anything, dude.
We don't know African history too much.
We know nothing about.
No.
We knew the dynamics of Africa. The only thing we know about Africa is Egypt. And then the next thing you know about is genocide and South Africa because of Nelson Mandela. That's all you know.
How about India?
Zero. I took an entire class on Indian history. It's ridiculous.
Dynasties. It's interesting stuff.
That's good. Well, I mean, that must be like a specific.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would.
I'm sure they're not diving into it like the Revolutionary War. You know what I'm saying? Which is understandable because I get it. But when you're preached all of that stuff in a younger age, when you get into high school and stuff now, you should be taught a little bit more Eastern culture.
So here's what I tell you is really interesting is, I don't know if you know, but I may have told you. I don't remember what I've told you or not. I've probably told you everything, but so my mother was born in Indonesia.
Right.
And so I'm 20% Asian. I didn't know I was, by the way. But when I did the
ancestry thing,
yeah, it was 20%.
That's cool.
It was 15% Southeast Asian, and then it was 2% Chinese, and then it was 2 or 3% Pacific Islander. So anyway, what's interesting about it is this. So my mother was. She was born in Indonesia. They left because my grandfather was in the Royal Dutch Army. They were Dutch, and they were imperialists, okay, in Indonesia, meaning the Dutch, much like the British in America, they had control over Indonesia. They ran the country, and they had leaders there, and so he was there for centuries and centuries. Okay, their family in there, so that was their home. But eventually, they got kicked out when the revolution in Indonesia. They had to leave, or they'd been killed.
Right.
They went to the Netherlands, and then eventually to America. But the point of it all, which is really interesting, is when I was in school and I would start to explain it, I could tell you that no person had any idea, first of all, where Indonesia was. They didn't even know. No clue. And they didn't know what imperialism was.
Zero.
So when I explained,
they have no idea that
people don't know what imperialism is.
Yeah.
So they don't even know because it's kind of foreign. We were a colony. Imperialism is there's a select group of people that occupy the country, and they follow the laws of British law, but they're not really kind of integrated into the like Canada is, like part of the empire in the same way. So the Dutch really did more imperialism than they did colonizing.
Yeah, they don't colonize; they just rule.
They just ruled it, right? And it's so it's interesting. But when you explain, nobody had
any idea. But they don't realize, like, like that the British controlled places across the world.
The sun never sets on the British Empire. That's
the truth for the longest time.
And people don't realize that the Dutch and most of Europe was colonized in these capacities.
They did that. Like every country in Europe had some place.
South Africa is English.
Yep.
But I want to say part of it is Dutch too. I don't know exactly. I'm not 100% sure.
You had European force all over the world.
My grandmother, who was English and what they called
basically during the age of exploration, wherever countries sailed and set foot was okay. This is part of us now. Okay, this is part of us now. Okay, this is part of us now. Until eventually people were like, "Well, we've been here forever. What the hell? Get out!"
You know what's wild? My brother, I don't know if my sister went. My sister, I think, went too. My brother and sister went to Indonesia, and they went to the exact house and block that my mother was as a little tiny kid.
Like, that's cool.
That's cool. They took a picture of the street still there. Yeah, and you don't realize these countries. And by the way, Indonesia's basically like 400 million people. It's an enormous country.
Well, India itself, dude. India.
Huge. Well, that's the second biggest country, and it's right behind China.
Like, in the worst conditions ever.
Oh, terrible.
Talk about us being bougie.
Well, they have an interest because they have the caste system, which is very difficult. So if you're born in, it's like the followers of their. I'm sure it's more modernized now, but you can only go up a certain couple of levels. I think
it's like
if you're born at the bottom,
you're done.
Like you can only go up 2 levels. Like it won't be. What are those? Oh man. So yeah. So I guess I gave my 2 answers, and then you asked another question though. You said what was the other question? You said what was?
If you could have dinner with 3 people, who would it be?
I know 3 or I know 5 people I'd like to have dinner with right off the top of my head. I don't know if I could.
Yeah, I could rip off names, but I'd really have to go into it to dial.
Get to 3. I don't know.
Right. Like I'd have to actually think about it. I could just rip off names, but I'd have to think about it in general.
Have you ever watched on the History Channel the when they do the I don't know what they call it, but like the Titans of Industry from like
yeah, absolutely. When you're talking about like Carnegie and Ford and all those dudes,
Rockefeller, JP,
and you realize that they were actually the biggest D-bags in the world, but they got done what they wanted to.
JP Morgan, and then
total jerks.
and Einstein, Edison.
Dude, Edison is a lunatic.
I mean,
like pathological.
Talk about persistence.
You think? You fail at something 1,000 times and keep going?
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's
I know, but look,
that whole series was so captivating. First of all, I couldn't believe how JP Morgan figured out
monopolies on everything.
I can't believe how he figured out though what to finance and what to not. Like he knew Carnegie, he knew Rockefeller, like he was financing these guys, and how he knew that these were the winning, because probably a lot of people trying to build railroads, right? And how he knew Carnegie was the guy to finance and Rockefeller was the guy to finance, like Edison, he financed Edison.
Right. Knowing what was going to happen.
And he was just basically putting money behind him. But he knew, like, what I would love to know is, did JP Morgan finance other people that did
fail?
I would love to know that side of the story. Or
he probably buried those records.
probably did. Well, they don't even remember your winners. They don't remember your losers.
That's it.
Right? So, but I think it's amazing how someone could, even if he was wrong on 20 of them, the fact that he nailed like those 3 guys, like
what are the chances of
the greatest in history?
Yes.
Like that he met those guys was like, yeah, this guy's got a chance. Definitely's got a chance. I'm going to put my money behind him. It's amazing. It's and how Carnegie moved into different industries, like ending in steel. He was originally in railroad, pushing Rockefeller's oil around. That was his big contract.
And then he was like, you know what?
Steel.
Let's go.
Let's smelt steel and mass produce it. What? I wouldn't know how to go about even beginning to do that.
Trial and error.
I get how John D did it, right? Drill here, take over these other groups that are smaller groups, combine them. I get how he did it. How Carnegie decided to smelt steel and like that. That's just, but
that's why they are in the position that they are.
Rockefeller just wielded his power once he started to get it. Just wielded it around and just
started
everybody until he crushed it.
Yeah, until I get to where I want to be.
Carnegie
get to where I want to be. I'm just going to up it again to keep going.
Right. Carnegie was more like he figured out like always ahead of the curve on the railroad.
Always ahead.
He realized the steel that had to be built for railroad. Like
he knew exactly what he was doing.
It's amazing.
He wasn't stupid.
And he grew up. Well, I'm sure they all grew up poor back then, but he it's amazing. And then he started Carnegie Mellon. What was cool about him was he started
venturing into other stuff.
The libraries, the Carnegie Hall is him, Carnegie Mellon University, all the libraries across the country, the PBS libraries, all the PBS stuff is him.
Yeah. He was no dummy.
He started doing that when he was alive at the end. I mean, Rockefeller did it too, but it was after he was such a bad guy that he realized, what am I doing?
I better do something good.
He was such a bad guy for so long. I ain't going to heaven. I better do something right now. Otherwise, I'm going to get denied.
Otherwise, I'm not getting in.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Listen, have a great. This is a good show. Our best shows are when we have nothing planned, really.
Well, I think we've proven that this year, if nothing less.
All right. Have a great day.
All right, later.
Oh, the outro, man.
I'm always waiting.
I know. I'm always forgetting. All right, the outro.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Football and the Kitchen Sink with Coach Schuman and Coach DePascali. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. If you like what you heard, leave us a review and be sure to tell a friend. We will meet you back here next time on Football and the Kitchen Sink.
All right, have a great
day.
Coach. All right, later.